Hey everybody, this is Pastor Jim from Rockpoint Community Church. I'm glad you could join us for another weekly devotional to hopefully keep your souls lifted up during this time of uncertainty and a time when we feel a little bit out of control. We've got a good word for you today. We're going to take you to a good place. You know, when you're so focused on the celebration of something that you forget where you've been for a while. It's going to bring joy to your heart and your soul. It made me think of, having had so much more family time lately, made me think a little bit about some of our great memories. And of course, some of our favorite memories come from Disney World. We've always really enjoyed our time there. And, I've always talked about how there's a couple of things regarding Disney that are truly magical. And I think one of the strangest things that happens when you go to Disney World is however long you're there, 5 days, 7 days, whatever, when you're there, it goes so fast and you're so busy, and yet it feels as if you've been there forever. And then the second magical thing when you go to Disney is they cause you to become so immersed in this fantasy world that when you get home, you are almost surprised to find out that the entire world has continued on as normal for the time that you've been away. And you've just been able to kind of take your mind off of everything and just enjoy yourself. And so it's quite a magical experience. But, there are ways in which we can do the same, even more so, with God through Jesus Christ. When we open up the scriptures and find out that if we celebrate God, we can have a joy that survives even seasons of angst and uncertainty and struggle, right? And so I have a word for you today from Psalm 4. If you've been watching our services, we have. I just gave out a little assignment on Sunday that if you have the opportunity, read one psalm a day, each day this week. So that would be starting with Psalm 1, so Psalm 1 through 7. Today I'm going to read Psalm 4. I think this is a really good one for us. And so I'll read that and then we'll just comment about it. It says this: Answer me when I call, O God of my righteousness. You have given me relief when I was in distress. Be gracious to me and hear my prayers. O men, women, how long shall my honor be turned into shame? How long will you love vain words and seek after lies? But know that the Lord has set apart the godly for himself. The Lord hears when I call to him. Do not sin in your anger, and ponder or wonder in your hearts while you lie on your beds and are silent. And as you do so, then offer right sacrifices and put your trust in the Lord. There are many who say, Who will show us some good? Lift up the light of your face upon us, O Lord. You have put more joy in my heart than they have when their grain and their wine abound. In peace I will both lie down and sleep. For you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. For you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. So as I was just kind of, working my way through the text there, he starts off by just saying, hey, answer me when I call to you, God. Give me relief for my distress, right? There's plenty of people out there right now with a little bit of distress, and we're asking for relief from God. And one of the things we can be confident of in this strange season is that we can still speak to God, right? We can still go to God with our prayer. So he says, call on God through prayer. Then he says this, he says, know that the Lord has set us apart. Know that the Lord has called you and me to himself. And when we draw near to God, God will listen to you. He will hear your prayer. It says, in your anger, do not let yourself sin, but rather ponder in your hearts on your bed and be silent. Offer the right sacrifices and put your trust in the Lord. So I thought a little bit about that, right? Don't let yourself sin in your anger, and ponder the things of God in your heart while you're silent. And as I sit back and I really take time to calm myself and just think clear thoughts and remove myself really from the angst and the busyness of this world, and kind of the again, like I mentioned, that sense of that lack of that lack of I guess the word is control. It's like a lack of control out there because we don't have control right now. And there's also kind of that uncertainty. It seems as if nobody really has an answer. And so we're stuck with thinking about our thoughts. And basically what I hear here is a challenge. We can take our voice and our thoughts and we can focus on praising God. And in the process of praising God, it will take away our efforts or our in our boredom and frustration to speak out and debate against men and women and humankind. So really what we're saying here is quiet your soul so that you can use your voice to praise God rather than argue with men. Use your voice to praise God rather than to argue with men. This will lead to right sacrifices, things that are pleasing to God. And then the psalmist gets to verse 7 and he says, God, you have put such joy in my heart. I have more joy than when men and women have new grain and wine abounding. When they have, think about it, I have more joy in my heart when I draw near to God than when I had my free time abounding, when my schedule was completely flexible, when everything seemed as if it was guaranteed and good to go, and I had all the toilet paper I needed, right? Whatever, everything's abounding. No, it's not right now. A lot of things are not abounding. And so we kind of get this like, oh my gosh, we're stuck, we're trapped, we're down, whatever it is. And so we resort to kind of letting out our frustrations sometimes at people we don't even want to be frustrated at. Or we go on social media and we continue to give out our opinions and our arguments. And listen, I'm guilty. I'm not saying I haven't said things on social media about my opinions on things. But you see, that's the stuff that's going to zap your energy rather than take your thoughts, take your voice, and give celebration to God. God says when you do that, you'll be too busy thinking and talking about God that you won't have as much energy to worry about the things of this world. And in the end, you'll find a rich joy in your soul, which is greater than happiness, because happiness comes and goes with having things and the moment or the experience. Joy survives all circumstances. This is a promise that God gives us. And so then he ends in verse 8. He says, in peace I will lie down and I will sleep. He's going to sleep well tonight because he's going to God in prayer. He's reminded that God will listen to him. And so before he even starts his long list of requests, he's praising God and saying the things that are good about God, so much so that he no longer has the time and energy to sit around fighting and arguing with other people about human things and stuff that we really have no control over. And he says this at the end, for you alone, O God, make me dwell in safety. For God alone makes you and I dwell in safety. Time to draw near, call on God, and let Him put that joy back in our hearts by using our voice to praise God rather than to debate with men. All right. You guys have a great week. Stay home, stay healthy, stay encouraged. We love you. Rockpoint Community Church.